Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, and I am so stinking excited to introduce you to my very new, but I would say like very close friend, Sarah Dlugosh. You guys, she is somebody who God literally just like dropped into my life, and it's like we've known each other forever. Wouldn't you agree, Sarah?
Yes.
And part of that is probably because we talk every day, but part of that is probably because you know God's blueprint for me and you understand me in a way that is like soul level. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But I just want to say how grateful I am for you and you being here, because you are the latest addition to the Spiral Up team. So all of my clients get the amazing privilege to get to work with you. You are, an expression of my desire to continue to up level and to serve people at the greatest level that I possibly can, and to keep making my programs, my offerings better so that I can make, people really believe in themselves and to be able to fully express their beautiful divine purpose in this lifetime. And so I'm just grateful that you're part of our world. But why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you serve people, Sarah? Because I always find that it's more fun to hear it from your mouth instead of me reading from a bio. So.
Oh my goodness. So I am, a former nurse. So I have just been in the past few years following my divine path, leaning more into my soulful God-given destiny, I guess, if you'd call it that.
Yeah.
So I have found myself as a event venue recreator. I have brought coaching into my world just recently, but specifically I've been a passionate student of human design, and I did work with people individually prior, but now I've moved into, using it as more of God's divine blueprint for us. And then I met you, and it has just like blossomed even further. I don't even have all the full details yet, because literally I am just living out my God-given plan. And so it's evolved, and I love bringing that to other people. So that's essentially what it is I'm just bringing that.
I love that so much. And we're going to dive into some of this stuff in a second, but you guys, I need to share with you like how all of this came to be, because I think it's such a cool expression of manifestation and how the universe works, how God brings people together. So Sarah and I are both part of the E4 trauma training that you guys met Dr. Aaron a few weeks ago in the podcast. And I signed up for an extension of another year because one of my coaches, Jan, is being trained in the E4 method, and I wanted to support her. So I signed up for the master level mentoring level of her program so that I can support Jan in this space. And what was so cool is that part of the master's program, you are essentially told that you have to find a prayer partner where the two of you speak on a daily basis and do a spiritual mind treatment, a prayer over each other. And, I am self-admitting that I am not the best at group chats and stuff. They've been overwhelming for me in my past life of things that I've done in network marketing and different things like that. So it's kind of like resistance, but for whatever reason, like I happened to be in tune to the group chat that day, and you had posted like, hey, I need a prayer partner. I'm like, well, me too. Check that off the list, right? So I reached out and I'm like, hey, I do too. Would you be willing to chat and we can see if we're a good fit? Okay, you guys. So like, check this out. So there are people in this program from all over the world. I don't even know how many countries are represented. And Sarah and I met on the phone, and we're like, holy crap, like, where have you been all my life? Like, it just felt like coming home, didn't it? Wouldn't you say? Like, just so aligned immediately. And turns out, you guys, is that we literally only live a couple hours from each other. In fact, when I go back to my hometown to do anesthesia every month, Sarah's only like an hour from that town. And so she and I were able to meet in person, and we talk every day. And she's literally just been this like divine sister that I get to go through life with. And what was so cool is that she was essentially this, now I know, missing piece to what I wanted to do with my clients, because people come to me, and really the things that I help them with is defining their purpose for their life, which, oftentimes we just aren't, confident enough to step into it. Right. So it's really just that direction, that clarity piece. It's the knowing how to trust our discernment. So I help people to really get confident that they are indeed hearing God correctly. I help them to build confidence in what it is that they're doing so that they can do some amazing things that they're being led to do. And I also help them be consistent, meaning that I want them to get out of their own way, but also be able to do things that feel easy, to feel like they're in flow, to work with our energy versus, against it. And those are the things that I do. And when Sarah and I were talking, she can incorporate human design into that in a way that is unlike anything that I've experienced yet, because Sarah has been so eager for me to deliver the practical solutions, not just the fluffy, like theoretical, like human design is like this, like woo woo, thing. It's like, no. Like, this is God's divine blueprint for your life. Like, he formed you in the womb with very specific things, and that we get to utilize these. And it's really just our acknowledgement that there's a blueprint that we get to tap into, and all of this stuff can start flowing. So it's like, oh my gosh, like I get to incorporate another tool to make things easy. And you've helped me to be able to do this in a way that we can give our clients the so what. This isn't the I'm a generator and I, have a sacral knowing. Like, that's a bunch of crap for a lot of people. They're like, I don't know what that means, but we're like, no, this is what this means. It means that blah, 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 blah. And this is how you approach life. And this is where you get in your own way. And it's just so fun. So I want to dive into, the blueprint that you created for our clients. But I think that it's just so cool to know that God sent you to me, and you're like this missing piece that I didn't even know that I knew that I'm always looking for ways to improve, but you were just like, it is like lock and key right there. And what was so cool is that as we've gotten to know each other, and you and I have shared each other's, blueprints, our human design astrology blueprints with each other, you have been able to discover that you're meant to support leaders. And so it's like, oh, this is part of my divine blueprint, is to work with somebody like you, Lachelle, who's a business to business. Like, I get to consult you as the leader who helps your clients. Like, oh my gosh, like how cool is this?
Absolutely amazing. And I love that when there's that solid knowing, like you said, the discernment, and you see the pieces of the puzzle fall into place, and there's just like that symbiosis that happens. And and then just the practical use of human design. It's like you said, that's just been all along in my journey with it for over 10 years is I want this to be usable. I want this to be practical and still have choice, obviously, because, we do have free will. But just, spending time with you and your gifts and there's reciprocity back and forth, it was like you could validate what I was validating, but in a heart-centered, God-centered way. And I absolutely love that. So yes, to divine meetings.
Okay, my love. So why don't you give our listeners a really practical overview of what in the heck is human design, and you incorporate astrology into this. And as, a fellow believer, like, it's really cool the lens in which you bring to this. So why don't you kind of dumb it down for us and tell us what this actually means?
Yeah. So what it is it's like, we all talk about, we hear in the Bible that God's plans for you. It says, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you. And I had been on this search, and that's how human design kind of landed in my lap was, okay, what's the plan? And then, of course, it started with astrology, and then there was a little bit of fear around astrology, but then realizing that too is biblically based, then I wove in the human design. And so practical human design it's basically all about aligned action, making good decisions, and really tapping into intuition and discernment, but more importantly discernment. So when somebody says something like, okay, type and strategy, I don't talk about and use those terms. I keep it, okay, what's your body telling you? Where is it coming from? Do you trust it? And so it's learning the body-based wisdom, which is what God gave you, is the temple. And I take all of the language from human design, I remove it, and use words that we can actually understand as humans. So
Yes. And so what I think is really cool, you and I have had, obviously countless conversations now around this, and it's fun because I get to geek out in like the philosophical way with you. But I believe that before I'm born, that God and I basically created a plan of how I get to experience this lifetime and how I get to learn certain things and the people that are going to be brought into my life to help to facilitate that. And that knowing that plan that we designed together, and I believe that you and I have this similar perspective, and that because we designed this plan together in before I was born, God then put me in the exact place and time that I needed to be born in order to set this energetic pattern into motion, because human design is based upon, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, the moment and the location of your birth. So like the minute that I entered this physical life is how it is essentially, I don't know,
yes,
expressed.
exactly. Yeah, it's for you were born as for a moment just like this. So there is the plotting, there is the time, there is no one else like you. And when we can know and have an understanding of what it is we're here for, we can still make choices. And of course, with blending in the Bible, universal law, the human design, the plotted points, we can really sort of have this understanding and this way of knowing how to make better choices, because we can also know what's the high expression, which is divine, and what's the low expression, and know that all of everything that happens is for our good. And that understanding doesn't take away choice, doesn't take away, but it helps us choose better. It helps us keep in alignment with God's plan. That's the beautiful thing, is like, what does the divine plan look like? And then it's like, hey, this is the high expression, but I also, we've got to go through struggle sometimes. But we know that was there for a reason.
It was. And that's what's so stinking cool about this. So I'm just going to say real quick before I move on that, what I love about human design, and I don't want to say as opposed to, because I incorporate a lot of different assessments into my strategies with my clients, like DISC, like Enneagram, like, Myers-Briggs. But what I think that is so important to acknowledge in this place is that those all can be impacted by the nurture part of this life experience. So the life experiences, and I recognize this with myself, that my DISC, my Myers-Briggs, have actually shifted throughout my life. My Enneagram 7 is who I am. But if I would have done it, 10 years ago, before I was really more self-aware, I would have definitely put myself in the 2-3. And so it's like knowing that those evolve over time with life experiences, but our human design is like this beautiful blueprint that we were born with. Right. And it's almost like, I think you've said this before, like, if only we could just give a parent, like, here you go, take the baby home from the hospital with, here's your plan, here's your blueprint, and life would be a lot easier. And essentially that's what it is. But you also mentioned the fact that we still have to go through things. And this is what is so flippin' cool, you guys. I just have to help you understand this. So when Sarah has helped me with my plan, it's acknowledging the fact that I had to go through certain things in order to have this realization of who I am in order to help people who need that. And so knowing that that was written into my plan, knowing that I had to go through these set circumstances in order to have this realization so that I can fulfill my purpose, all just makes it, again, I tell my clients all the time, they hear me say, like, everything's perfectly perfect. Everything is perfectly perfect because it is exactly where I was supposed to be. And knowing that if things feel like they're, they're coming off the rails, like sometimes that is designed on purpose for you. The people that were brought into your life, the circumstances, the career changes, the whatever, were orchestrated before you were born in order to facilitate the expression of your divine purpose. Because as we've learned in E4, our traumas or our experiences that we've had to overcome are part of the equation to discover our purpose.
Yeah. And so I'm going to kind of bridge human design terms, but make it practical. So when the catchphrase out there is use your strategy and authority, the way I want to present it is, so for example, in my chart, I have this thing where I am designed to struggle. So when I enter into the correct struggle, what I'm doing is when I go before it and I'm like, is this my struggle? If I know that I get a yes, then I enter it and I'm going to learn something and I just trust. And that is a practical application of strategy and authority. So authority is I consciously chose and I did it, and beautifully it'll come out. But before human design, what I would do is I would just be on what I call the struggle bus and just struggle, struggle, struggle. But there is a way to discern before entering a struggle, for example. But that's how practical we can make this. It doesn't take away choice. It isn't about, but it brings a more validation to our own inner knowing so that we can trust ourselves and trust God's plan. That's essentially what I like to bring it to. So.
And I want to just because something that you just said, might strike some people as okay, so hold tight. You have a divine design to struggle. That sucks. What do I have this divine design to struggle? Why would God put us in this lifetime that we're just destined to struggle? But what you're saying is that it's when you identify the struggle as part of the growth and learning that you were able to essentially use that for the purpose that you were put on this earth to do, to help people. But that doesn't mean that your life has sucked.
No, not at all. Because what happens with struggle is the understanding is if I go through a process over and over again, what am I learning? I am learning refinement. I'm going to see it from several different angles, which means that I will get a divine perspective, which then I can say to people, oh my gosh, let me tell you, I struggled with, but it's not about talking about the struggle. It's just, oh my gosh, look at what I learned from that. And imagine if somebody would have taken it away from me, what would have been the polarity of it? I wouldn't have learned refining. So knowing that ahead of time is but then how do you go into it with discernment? That is where we can bring in, how do we do it?
So
that's amazing, isn't it?
It is. And it's okay, so all of the tools, it's like what you do is you're opening up this toolbox of all the things that God has given you, along with the map that he gave you to say, okay, this is your treasure hunt. This is your journey. These are all the tools I've given you. And what you basically do, Sarah, is you help us to read the map and you help us to identify what tools we have in our toolbox.
Yes, that is exactly what it is, because that's what it is it's a toolbox. And again, we still have choice. We can still, you don't always have to use the tool. It's just knowing it's there. And then it's wow, why don't I want to use that tool? I mean, if it's something that is part of my gifting, why not bring it and do something with it, apply it in a practical way, because then it's effortless, and then it just is living a life of flow and just lots more peace. There's a lot more peace with it.
So, okay. I mean, I feel like this is such an amazing conversation that I'm okay, Lachelle, how do I prioritize what I want to talk about? Because there's so much here. We could probably make this into several episodes, but Let's break this down into a couple of key things that have really stood out to me as like, holy crap, like that's something that I can use. And so in human design language, you've helped me understand that we have a type. So like I'm a generator, so that's a type, and it kind of gives us, give me a little, just 2 seconds of, or two sentences of like, what does the type tell us basically?
It is kind of like how you interact with other people.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I love bringing it back to what you do, the clarity, the confidence, and consistency.
Yeah.
So in terms of clarity, what it does is it helps you understand sort of like an interactive way that you interact with other humans. So for example, generators, everybody's heard, okay, generator, wait to respond. We're not really waiting, but the thing is if we go chasing something, it's like a magnet, it pushes the things away from us. Whereas if we're just in our joy, in our bliss, in our purpose, it is almost like things are just drawn to us. And so there's a clarity in knowing that
Yes.
I am not chasing, I'm receiving. I get
Mm.
to receive because I'm
Yes.
magnetic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And
Clarity. And then yeah, that's makes it so clear.
it does make that so clear. And then the other thing that you have taught me is our channels,
Yes.
and our gates. And I have to remember, so we have an open or defined channel, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to say this from my dumbed down like language and then help me like refine it. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, that sounds
Because
amazing.
you've helped me so much that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I want to teach you, tell everybody like how much you've taught me. So when it comes to those channels, if I have an open channel, I am, that's the receiving part of me. But if I have a defined channel, that is what I transmit out into the world. So
Mhm.
it's just so my defined channels are what just come naturally to me versus the things that are open and I'm receiving from others. But the thing that's so fascinating, because I'm a business strategist, is how we can use that information to help identify who is literally praying for us and how we can help them. So this is how I'm going to describe it. So correct me where I'm wrong. But if I have a defined channel, the people who are literally going to be magnetized to me, attracted to me, are those who have an open channel, because I have what their soul is longing for, and that I am giving them the hope and the how to get that bring that into their life. So if I understand where my open and defined channels are, I then can tell who is going to be naturally attracted to me because I have what they need. And when I know that, I can speak to them in a way that they feel heard. And it just feels like this is how we're put on this planet to help each other. I don't know. Help me articulate that better.
Oh no, I think you have beautifully explained it. But yeah, it is anything that is, if you were to grab your chart,
Mhm.
anything not colored in, we are actually like taking in information from other people. So the theory that opposites attract, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're explaining. And so what happens is we tend to um, kind of get stuck in those areas where we want to lean into our gifts. So when we talk about gifts, what's in the God's divine plan, our
Mhm.
gifts are found in the areas that are colored in. And yes, that's how we serve others. That is what we want to lean into, because it's like breathing. And
Yeah.
that's why that opposites attract, because it's sort of just, when people say that, that is so true. And you can see that when I
Mhm.
go scientific into my human design terminology, that's exactly
Yeah.
what's happening, is the
Yeah.
opposites attract. Yeah, and that's what we want to lean into in helping our clients, but also we need to know it ahead of time, because
Yeah.
we often will, it can be a blind spot where we can say, oh,
Mhm.
well, doesn't everybody have it?
Yes.
That's not,
Yes.
but knowing it ahead of time, yeah, that's where I apply it. And that's what I love. What you do is taking this and applying it in business, for, again, coming back to clarity, coming back to
Yes.
consistency and
Yes.
confidence, because then really specifically what it is you're here to do and how
Yes.
to help. And it's like covers all three.
It
Covers
does.
all
It
three.
totally does. Okay, so I want to clarify something, because people might have heard me say, when we talk about the law of vibration, the law of attraction, that like attracts like.
Yes.
And then you just said that opposites attract. And so I don't want people to get hung up on some of these concepts because
Right.
because you understand both really well. So can you
Yeah.
help us to understand the differentiation?
Yeah. So when I think of the law of vibration, your vibe attracts your tribe. So there is when it comes to genetics, I guess, would be a way to think of the opposites attract. But
Mm,
also, you're still going to attract somebody on a vibrational frequency
yes.
that is going to need the gifts that you carry. That's the vibration. And
Yes.
even though opposites attract, that's not so much opposites, it's about vibing correctly, because you meet people and you
Mhm.
just know that you connect.
Yes.
It's literally,
Yes.
that's the word, the connect.
So if
But does that
okay,
make sense?
yes. So is it okay? Like because I like to process things myself. And so I'm a
Yes.
verbal processor. And so this is what I'm going to say is that when identify, you guys, when you identify that you have a problem, let's just say, so many of us, and you've heard me say this before, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my hands, but so many of us are aligning ourselves with the problem. And if you see me, you're noticing that I have, I'm just kind of like coming at my hand with a bunch of different angles, right? And so oftentimes we'll come into it with like every single possible solution or angle that we can come at the problem. Meanwhile, the solution coexists, it's just at a different frequency. Okay. So what I tell people is that if you can raise your vibration, you will align yourself with the people, with the opportunities, with the conversations, with the downloads. And so basically what Sarah is talking about here is that it's literally just aligning yourself with the person who has what you need as a solution. And so if all of a sudden you and I, for example, have been energetically aligned with our frequencies, and I am literally holding the missing link to what you need, do you see how all of a sudden like things start to click? And that's kind of what she's saying and how the two can work together. And so I just wanted to make sure that I didn't confuse anybody because it's energetics and physics can be confusing sometimes. And what Sarah and I do is try to break this down into as usable, clear ways that we possibly can, which is what I want to get into next. Sarah, is literally like the masterpiece that you have come up with for my clients, because it's like, if I can tell you guys, like I've shown this to so many of my people and they're like, oh my gosh, I've read this like 3 times. Like I just keep reading it because I feel so validated. Like you are a validator and you help us to be like, oh my gosh, so that's why I'm this way. And so this is a couple of things, and if you want to kind of tell us a little bit about how you come up with this, like by all means. But the first thing that I have you do for our clients is help to identify their superpowers, because our superpowers are pieces of us that are unique to us and our design. But because they're just part of who we are, oftentimes we don't see them. They're just like part of, what do you mean not everybody's like that kind of thing? And our superpowers are what make us uniquely special. Our superpowers are why people are attracted to us, why they want to work with us, what we have that they need. And it's identifying those superpowers not only to have the confidence, like, oh my gosh, I guess I am uniquely equipped to charge that. I am uniquely equipped to start that business, but also having the confidence to know, like, I can actually really help these people because these are my divinely assigned superpowers.
Yeah, and a lot of times what'll happen is people recognize it already in themselves. That is the key. It's as I always approach it from the person centered, to make sure we always have a conversation. And then they say, well, I thought this was my gift, but I didn't know. And I say, well, I make it interactive. Then we bring in the blueprint after an actual real conversation, and kind of returning to the universal law a little bit. That's why I'm learning that, because I want to make sure we are in such a deep alignment with the principles of the universe and Bible. But yeah, especially just showing them that it helps, validate, bring forward what they already knew. It's like the old story of the fish in the water. We don't see the
Yes.
water. And so, but not in an advisory way. It's
Yeah.
really helping them to just remember what
Mhm.
it is they
Yes.
always knew.
Yes.
And that's kind of how it ends up evolving. It always evolved to that, is, yeah, oh my gosh, I forgot that was my
Yes.
superpower.
Yes.
That's but that's really how it ends up happening. And that's where, in meeting you and having you confirm
Mhm.
and, say, oh my gosh, yes, that matches me. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then it ended up, just being redefined even further.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I love that
Yes.
so much. And so that's a lot where we, give people the confidence of really honing in on your unique superpowers and how you can use them in business, how you can validate your business is on the right track to use those special superpowers. And that kind of brings me into the clarity piece, because we're able to use all of this information then to help them to have the clarity that they are in fact on the right path. And if not, some tweaks that they can do to get themselves back on the right path per se, right? Like, oh, something's missing. I don't know what it is. Like, whoop, we can bring you back into that path and know that, like, okay, this is where you're meant to be and who you're meant to serve and who's been praying for you. And just having that clarity of purpose, having that clarity that we're on the right business path, having that clarity around who we're supposed to serve and how we're supposed to serve them by using those superpowers, like that clarity piece is gold, sister.
Oh yeah, it's so helpful. And it, I always return to that there's always a choice, but
Mhm.
it still does. Like even when, there's going to be trials, there's going to be tribulations, we can
Yeah.
actually plot that out, not in a way that we're not trying to pre-plant something.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
knowing, then making the choice to align with the higher principles, to
Yes.
align and stay in alignment with the plan, even if it's going to be a challenging period. But yeah, that's just, that's where the prayer comes in. But just knowing your divine plan is there and your God-given gifts, leaning into that, it just makes a life so much more smooth and flowing,
Yes.
peaceful. I mean, all of the above. But yeah,
Yeah.
practicality, application, business, life, all of the above.
All of the above. Right. And then, the other thing that we use this tool for clarity reasons is to help people to make decisions easier. And it's really just learning our unique way to make decisions. And once we understand that, we can stop overthinking, right? We can stop getting into the analysis paralysis and really start to trust our discernment, to trust that God is guiding us a certain way and that we get to say, yes, this is where I'm supposed to go, or no, this is where I'm supposed to go. And so you help my clients learn how to make decisions easier and to more importantly trust them, which is a major piece of the flow state money method that I use in my coaching. And so if we can give people additional tools to be able to trust their discernment, like how amazing is that?
Yeah, and it's really returning to what they knew about
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah.
before other people started advising them on how
Yes.
to make better decisions. It's like a lot of times they look at me in surprise and they say, "Well, that's the way I always did it, but I did it the opposite." And then I'm like, "Yeah, so how does it feel to return to what you already knew and have
Yes.
confirmation of
Yes.
that?" That's
Yes.
the fun part, is the delight and the surprise on their faces
Yes.
that they already were doing it. Yeah.
The divine validation, I think, that you give people.
Yes.
It's the divine remembering of who we were put on this earth to do and to be, and or to do, who to do, who to help, what to do, who to be. Whatever, this is all good fun. So when we think about that, though, it's just like, oh my gosh, like, yes, this feels good. Like that's the best way for me to describe you, is like this validation. I'm like, holy crap, like I actually am wearing this shirt and it says be you. That's what you've really helped me to just acknowledge, like I get to be me. I don't have to be anybody else. And these are the divine, beautiful tools that God gave me in order to fulfill that beautiful purpose that he has for me. And okay, so then the third kind of level to this blueprint that you give people is this consistency piece. And the consistency piece, guys, is not only how to, how can I put this? Like not get in your own way as far as like letting your lack of motivation or mindset or all the stuff like keep you from following through. But as you know, in my flow state money method, it's all about taking aligned inspired action. So I wanted Sarah to help clients to have additional tools to help them get into action. And this means aligning ourselves with the energetic flow. And it's so cool because you've helped us to, you literally will give us a blueprint. Like here is a suggested we have free will, but here's a suggested daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly flow cycle schedule that you may feel most energized, be most productive, be more efficient and effective in what it is that you do, instead of fighting yourself and not getting into the shoulds, but getting into the flow with who you are and how you're meant to function. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh, that's probably, well, they're all my favorite parts. So it's all my favorite parts. But yeah, we all have a natural rhythm. The in universal law is like there's a rhythm to the universe, there's a rhythm to each person. And the easiest way, the most practical way to explain it is you have strategic flow and you have a sort of receptive flow, or you'll sometimes hear it as yin or yang. So we can go even deeper into your blueprint and define that even further. But just for ease in explanation, you think of a yin flow, it's sort of circular, it meanders. It's like a river that's kind of a lazy river. And then you have a more direct, strategic type flow. And so we can see that. And usually, like I said, what it is it ends up being that the person actually remembers, oh my gosh, that's really what feels most natural for me. Thank you for permission to just lean into who I am. And that is my another favorite part. I think all of it's my favorite.
I know, right? It's so cool because there are clients that come to me, they're like, oh my gosh, I know I need a morning routine, but I'm a night person. And so it's I help them to be okay with, it's okay. You get to be you. Let's figure out what that is and how you can get into flow with yourself, or knowing that, for me, I know that I love to get into flow, but it's bigger chunks of time. It's a day or 2 days versus an hour here and an hour there. That's how my energy works. And so with your help, we've been able to identify, it's actually really cool because I feel like I worked on this enough that it was almost like the validation that the schedule that I have built over the last couple of years is exactly what I'm supposed to do, with buffers and CEO days built in and client days built in and all of the things. It's holy crap, validation that I'm on the right path here. And some people need that from the start because they literally just need to give themselves permission that we don't have to be in every other freaking box that everybody puts us in. I hate that. I don't want to be in a box, and nobody that wants to be in my circle likes to be shoved into a box. I want you to be able to be expressed with your unique, beautiful flow and plan. And I don't know, it's just, and so cool. And I think that you and I talked a lot about this. Just because we have this divine blueprint does not mean we're boxed in. It's literally mostly just this validation that I get to be me.
Yes, that's exactly what it's about, is just remembering, returning, finding your way back home to what you knew before the world got a hold of you. In the terms of opposites, is usually that's when someone comes along and says the opposite, you want to get right back into your vibe. That's the law of vibration, where you're vibing at our frequency, not everybody else's, and attracting the same, like-minded. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's a deep, deep remembering.
Yeah.
And
it's so cool. And so there's a couple of other bonus sections that we added to this. One of them is this manifestation hacks. So these are ways that people can understand how they are going to most efficiently and effectively manifest based on your unique design. So that's been really cool. Massive changes happen there. And then I also had you add in here, how can my coach best support me? And so that gives me another little bonus ways to customize my program for people, is because I can take your human design with the help of Sarah and to adjust the way that I'm able to help and support you based on this information. I don't like cookie cutters. I don't like boxes. I don't want anybody to come into a container and feel like it's just they're a number. That's just not my jam. And you've been really able to help me to deliver this bespoke experience where people are able to step into their most divine, beautiful expression, and knowing that they are perfectly perfect the way they are, and how we can make a few tweaks here and there to help them to create this life that they're destined to live with more peace and joy and flow and freedom.
Yeah. And I love what's really been fun is watching you work with the people, the beautiful souls you work with,
Yeah.
and just seeing how, your discernment, you are able to discern what, like, I will read in the blueprint. It's like you're living and breathing that
Yeah.
discernment. And it is so fun to watch that you speak that love and light, and you stand as a beacon of just that. And so it's been really, really beautiful to watch you do that and just be like, wow, she's just, it's like downloaded into her, but I get to sort of play in alongside
Yeah.
and put it into writing. And they're just like, they look in astonishment at,
Yeah.
well, yeah, yeah,
It's
it's been so beautiful.
it's like, it's almost like you've helped me to recognize like my gifting of, I can see possibilities. I can see where your superpowers are. I can see where you could serve people in a bigger way. I can see your blind spots and your barriers. And it's almost like, it's just, that's been my gifting, and you've helped to validate that for me. But then you've like taken it to like the 2.0 version, where we can literally like say, it's not just a feeling Lachelle gets. Like, here's your blueprint that are independently produced from a conversation that I have with somebody. And then here you give them this blueprint. It's like, holy shit. Like, how did those two line up so well? But that's what's so fun, is that it just the validation that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The two of us can help people on a whole nother next level. And so that's really fun. And so all of my clients that are both in my high level one-on-one program as well as my group program get access to you. And so they get they get the blueprint that we've talked about, and they get a one-on-one with you on a quarterly basis as part of your tuition. And I got to just tell you guys, like, you will come out of the flow state money method and the way that we use that inside Spiral Up to have that consistency, to have that confidence, to have the clarity, but do it in a way that feels free, that feels in flow, that feels joyful and free and fun again, instead of the force and the hustle and the trying to fit yourself into somebody else's box. Like, I don't know, girl, like we were meant to work together for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, a life of balance, a knowing, alignment, just aligning to the frequency of beauty, abundance, love, I mean, truth.
Yes.
Yes, more of that, more of that,
I
right?
just love it so much. Okay, so Sarah, as we wrap up our conversation, is there anything else that you really want our audience to hear today?
Oh gosh. Just, know the truth. And I know that's kind of a loaded question, but you have it inside of you. And
Mhm.
if you can't necessarily dig it out yourself,
Yeah.
this the container with Lachelle beautifully brings forth a beautiful truth. So I know reaching out to her in a possibilities call, that is amazing. And to be a part of this is absolutely amazing, to bring forward clarity, confidence. I mean, the 3 C's, I think I told you the other day. Yeah. Gosh, I don't even know. I have so many things to say. I can't just narrow it down to one, but just to
I know.
know the truth,
Yeah.
be true to yourself, be yourself. And there are tools out there,
Yeah.
especially in Dr. Lachelle's container and the human design, but yeah, know the truth, be the truth, be yourself, you're divine.
And we, went all over, we covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time. But was there anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get a chance to touch on? I just want to make sure that I've opened that up for you as well.
Oh my goodness. I can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've covered a lot, but yeah, just I would say get your human design chart and just, honor yourself, love yourself,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
love part.
Yes. And
And
yes. And if you guys are ready, like if you've gotten a human design chart and you're just like, I don't even know what all of these like circles and triangles and lines mean, like, you're not alone. It's like a different language. And so one of the I think that I just am so grateful for, that God sent somebody into my life that can give people a very practical, real world application of this, and allows me to customize even more the way that I can help people manifest consistent 10K months with more ease and joy and flow and less overanalyzing, less overwhelm. And thank you for being a part of that journey. I'm so grateful for you. So if you guys are curious about any of this, I want you to go ahead and book a possibilities conversation. The link is going to be in the show notes. I would love an opportunity for me to have this beautiful conversation with you and help to see the possibilities that you might not be able to see for yourself, and to help you to really understand a few of the major blocks holding you back. And I can give you a recommendation. It might be a recommendation or resource, a referral, but let me help you see what's possible. Let me help you see what's holding you back, and know that if Sarah is a part of that, if you're feeling this, because my people, you guys listen to me, you guys are part of my tribe because you feel this gut. It's just a matter of that you're not trusting that always. That's the thing, right? Like, my people are not all logical minded. We have this like intuition, but we're too scared to use it. So if you're feeling this, if this hit home for you, if you're like, there's something here that I need to explore further, that is your sign, sister. Okay. So make sure that you stop getting your own thinking away. And Sarah, thank you so much for being my friend, for being my partner, for being inside of this Spiral Up program. And thank you for just being you. I love you so much.
I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, you guys, we will see you next week. And we're going to continue the conversation around control. And I want to help you get out of your own sticking away and get rid of those butts. All right. So I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye, everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.